Hello, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over the 2024 election probable nominees as of April 7th, 2020, 2021. And right now it looks like Ron DeSantis and the Popeyes chicken sandwich are in the top lead. And usually by now it's pretty decisive. So we'll see. But first, we're gonna put Louisiana as safe blue, and you might be a little confused, like safe blue. Keep in mind, Popeye's chicken sandwich originated from Louisiana. Popeyes itself originated from Louisiana, so there's gonna be a lot of black. There's gonna be a high black population turnout, especially in some of the biggest populated states. Mississippi, I'd put as likely. Alabama, I'd put as likely. Arkansas, I'd put as likely. Georgia, I'd put as safe. We all saw how Joe Biden did in 2020. I think Georgia could be very strong for the Democratic Party if the chicken sandwich is the nominee. And uh, pretty much most of the South could be safe around here. And this is the first time since Bill Clinton, or honestly, since before Bill Clinton, that a Democrat will have carried the entire South in a very long time. And I do think that Tennessee might be more of a lean. It gets kind of iffy up here, but once you get to Kentucky, KFC recently came out with an endorsement of the Popeyes chicken sandwich for the nomination. Kentucky might as well be safe, but just in case, I'm gonna keep Kentucky as likely because polling isn't too strong for the chicken sandwich there, and Ron DeSantis isn't that amazing of a candidate. Although there is a few states I think he would win pretty a good amount. And it goes down to Florida. While Florida is part of the South, Ron DeSantis has a very good approval rating there, and is leading by up to 5 points in some of the polls against the chicken sandwich. I do think Florida could be what keeps this guy in the election. Alaska probably going to be likely. Popeyes isn't really down in Alaska. It's way too far. Same with Hawaii. Hawaii could also be a likely state for the Republicans in this kind of election, and so you do lose a safe Democratic state, but in the process of gaining so many uh, southern states in it, honestly, the chicken sandwich is advocating for less minority voter suppression, and honestly, that could help turn the South blue again. Missouri, oh boy, Missouri loves chicken. I've been to Kansas City and Kansas. Those states are just going to be so strong for the sandwich in this election. It's it's truly amazing how these polls are going. I would put Missouri and South Carolina actually as safe, uh, but that's just my opinion. And a lot of the working class up here in the Rust Belt probably very likely that they will vote uh, with the Democrats again. And usually I would have said Ron DeSantis could have won Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, but with the chicken sandwich being a top rising candidate, Wisconsin honestly could go way more for the Democrats in this kind of election because the white working class uh, would love to vote for the Popeye chicken sandwich. It's hard to explain, but basically, the Rust Belt always tends to vote with whatever candidate they think would do better with the economy with almost all the time. Now, recently, they've become more optimistic about voting Republican. But you look at Pennsylvania, all the factories. Honestly, Popeye's chicken sandwich. A lot of them are in Michigan, Wisconsin. Those could be really strong states. But Minnesota is where you get less of that in. I feel like Minnesota could be a toss-up. So I'm going to come back to that. I'm actually not sure. I'm going to try and figure out over it. But you look at another factory, like a really rich state, gains from a lot of the economy stuff. Two of the richest states are Virginia, Maryland, and California. These are amazingly rich states, and while Hawaii is a really rich state as well, uh, it's this just doesn't get the Popeye chicken sandwich like everyone else does. But yeah, California. Usually, I would have put Ron DeSantis here uh, against some other candidates, but California, I do think could at least go likely for the chicken sandwich because they are definitely benefiting from their economy is definitely benefiting from Popeye's chicken sandwich overall. I'm gonna just go ahead and say the same thing with Washington. But then you go into this kind of area where I think Ron DeSantis would do better in Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, uh, Montana, North and South Dakota. I think all of those states could be a little bit less strong than they are for the Republican Party usually. But with these states being in the middle of nowhere, there's not much economy voting because they don't have huge economies. That look 4, 4, 3, 3, 3. The lowest amount of electoral votes you can have is 3 electoral votes. It's just insane how I. And that's not the only reason that they're not that populated. It's just you could argue Montana going blue. I wouldn't go against that. I'm just saying, generally in Republican shifting states over the past decade, you would think that the Popeye chicken sandwich would at least do a little bit better than Obama, and more people are moving out of these areas, except for Montana and some of these other states. So, uh, generally, it's hard to explain, but I do think Montana would go red in this scenario. It's more of a toss-up, and all these other states I think would go red. I also think Oregon would go red. It's in the middle of nowhere. Uh, they've just got less potential for the Democrats in this kind of election. I definitely think Ron DeSantis could flip back here. But yeah, it's hard to get into that. I'm gonna try and hurry up a little bit more because I'm running a little bit out of time. I'm at 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes. So, but yeah, then you go to New York, which I'm gonna get back to New York as well. I do think that the Popeyes chicken sandwich would definitely win D.C. and Delaware, both uh, high black populations. D.C. No, Delaware not as much, but like DC has a lot of black population and a really high turnout. Same with Baltimore, Maryland. That's why I have Maryland going blue. And again, before there would have been a lot of debate for some of these states, but uh, I'm not so sure anymore. And one of the honestly, I see Ron DeSantis winning uh, Minnesota by a lean margin. And the reason for that is there's a lot less factories in Minnesota. And while the George Floyd protests might trigger enough black turnout for the Popeyes chicken sandwich to win here, I'm not so sure about that due to a lot of Democrats leaving that state, uh, and just so much controversy. I'm not so sure. Wisconsin is definitely economy rated, so that's going to be safe Democratic. Definitely, that's why I have it. Is that another state I see Ron DeSantis winning would be a little close, but West Virginia. West Virginia, I think, would go to Ron DeSantis uh, simply because, well, it is West Virginia country. They have a ton of chickens. Blah blah blah. Uh, there's it's kind of reverting back to where it was in 2008, kind of a toss up, but always kind of leaning Republican. Doesn't have enough of a black population to really, or minority population to really make it a huge competitive state, but it does go with the white working class every now and then. I'm going to go ahead and put Ohio as well, going tilt for the Democrats. It's going to be a very close race here. Honestly, Ron DeSantis could win here, but I'm not so sure about that. Ohio has a lot of factories as well, and definitely has a good economy going on. It's just in a really good area of the country, and it's kind of hard to see who they would vote for. In my opinion, it would go uh, for the Popeyes chicken sandwich. But if Ron DeSantis can get a big uh, minority turnout, or no, not just white turnout, he could win Ohio by up to 5 points, in my opinion. And usually I have Ohio as red, but not this time. This is a really good candidate. But like I said earlier, some states are losing population or losing their safe democratic status. Another state I'm going to be going over is Oklahoma. Oklahoma is another state in the South. You definitely see it resonating with Arkansas and Mississippi, with a decently high, or not high, minority population. Oh, Oklahoma is a pretty white state overall, but it definitely has potential to go Democratic. It's more like Tennessee. I think it will go for the Popeyes chicken sandwich. You could argue that DeSantis wins it by a tilt margin, but I'm going to go ahead and put it as tilt blue. And now you look at Texas. Texas is a interesting state, to say the least. Democrats have been wanting to flip the state for the past decade, perhaps even 2 decades. They really think they have a shot, and I think with the Popeyes chicken sandwich, they could win it by up to a likely margin. It could be a really, really, really good win for them here. Uh, Perhaps even flip a few Senate seats in the future if the chicken sandwich wins, which, as my map shows, it's pretty likely that the Popeyes chicken sandwich will win the presidency and become the 47th president of the United States. Ron DeSantis, I do think, would carry Nebraska's third district, and that's it for Nebraska. I do think the Popeyes chicken sandwich would slightly win the overall vote, uh, hardly win the first district, and safely win the second district. Now, it's a really interesting state, Nebraska. It has shifted left over the past few elections, and I'm just not sure how the chicken sandwich would do here. But it's one of the highest states I see going to Popeye's chicken sandwich. Another state I also see going to the chicken sandwich is Iowa. You see Iowa, it's one of the fastest growing economies. They are losing a minority population, but Iowa could be very good, uh, very likely for the Popeyes chicken sandwich in this kind of election. Simply, fully based on the economy after COVID is gone, I really do think uh, Iowa would have the potential to go back to the Democratic Party here. Now we're gonna get into the rest of this. Have you ever seen Breaking Bad? If you ever seen Breaking Bad, you know people in New Mexico love fried chicken. You know Los Pollos Hermanos, blah blah blah. New Mexico is a very chicken-friendly state. Well, by chicken-friendly, I mean they love eating chicken, so it's kind of the opposite. Anti-chicken state. They love chicken. They love chickens, and I do think that New Mexico would go safe for the Democratic Party for the first time in decades. Uh, that's just my opinion. Uh, Suppose we see a really good independent candidate that might make it down to likely, but I don't think so. I think that any independent would know they don't stand a chance against the sandwich, uh, simply because you don't beat it. Ron DeSantis is getting absolutely slaughtered here. Illinois, a very good economy loving state as well, I think will actually shift to the right a lot in this election simply because there's a lot less focus on it, and the chicken sandwich is kind of taking it for granted. Kind of like they've already started campaigning. Uh, the secret that's called ghost campaigning. They campaign a little bit before they actually go for the primaries and stuff, but they're definitely showing a lot of their a very good friendly face in uh, New Hampshire and stuff. You know, Ron DeSantis resonates with Trump a lot, and Trump's definitely gone against New Hampshire. You look up Donald Trump New Hampshire quotes, and you're not. It's not very nice stuff. So you know, you see Popeye's chicken sandwich. There's a very high minority population, or a decently high minority population in Colorado and Nevada. Personally, I'm going to put these two as likely, but you could argue lean or tilt. I might be overestimating the amount of Democrats and sandwich lovers in these states, but especially in Nevada. But you never know. I personally think Nevada and Colorado is coming out, although there has been no polls for Nevada. Tends to be more on the Democratic side, and I expect them to stay like that. There's not many reasons that it would change either way in this kind of election. Maybe it'll stay steady like it did in 2020. Sorry about that. New York has a lot of the city folks down there, and I do think New York will be a safe state just simply because it's more so a Democratic state. But as you see on this map, it doesn't mean everything. With about 400 electoral votes, you know they're winning a lot of toss-ups and losing some weird states. This is not no ordinary election, but I do think New York would tend to go. I mean, especially with these sexual assault allegations against the sandwich, they tend to, I guess, elect people that are more sexually uh, harassive. I that's not the correct word, but Popeye's chicken sandwich, I do think could have a very strong win in New York. There's a decent minority population there, and I do think that Popeye's chicken sandwich has advocated for free college, and I do think just free college enough is enough of a liberal view to carry any of these other usually safe states. However, uh, that's actually I no, never mind, never mind. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go over that. But yeah, no, these usually more safe and moderate kind of Democratic states by a really good amount will go Democratic. Pretty much any state that has gone Democratic in the past 8 years will have gone Democratic. The, the only changes right here are Minnesota and Oregon. Actually, I do have Arizona going back to the Republicans, and that is one of the only uh, good things I have for the Republicans left here. It's the first time I've given Ron DeSantis any amount of electoral votes in a while. Although Arizona uh, has a high white population, there's not a lot of Popeyes down there. It's just they're not as enthusiastic about the chicken sandwich, and Ron DeSantis is actually winning by a likely margin right now, and that is the first time a Republican has been winning by that much of an amount since before Donald Trump. So, which was again, remember by this time it will have been 8 years ago. And now I do see Vermont is a very white state. Popeye's chicken sandwich tends to cater more to the black voters, but I do not expect the biggest winning over of the white voters I see the sandwich actually doing in this kind of election is for the economy voters. I do see Vermont has one of the best growing economies in the entire country, has a really good white working class, has a lot of white people, though, so which tend to be more Republican, but in this state, I expect it to be more of a decent win for the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Now you do go. There's two states left now, and I'm gonna go over Maine first because that's more hard to explain. Maine's second district is not country. It's it looks like most of Maine, but it's actually not. Maine's first district safe. But yeah, I gotta talk about Maine's second district. I don't know too much about Maine's second district. There's not that many people there, but believe me when I say that it will vote Republican. I don't have a reason for it. uh, Indiana, I actually have as a as one of the neighboring states to a very economy uh, positive kind of part of the country. I do see Indiana going at least a few points to the Democrats. Although Ron DeSantis has a good, he's already ghost campaigning here, which means he hasn't actually announced his running yet. But I do expect Indiana to go blue, but definitely could stay in the Republican part, in the Republican voting place. I don't know with the words. I'm a bad worder. Yeah, and Maine's at large would be lean. I do see Maine overall shifting more to the right. So, especially in the future, it's always been more of a swing state, and since it actually went by a good amount for the Democrats, I expect it to swing back at least a few points. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. This is probably going to be one of my final predictions. I'm very confident about this. I do think the chicken sandwich, the Popeyes chicken sandwich, will do very well in this election. And honestly, since it's pretty much guaranteed the sandwich will win, I don't think I'm going to make another video about this. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys